as well come, get a break from the fair.
That's it. Rumball's wanting air conditioning.
Just go lock the door. Go lock the door, Laura, and keep everybody else out. We don't need any more.
Yeah, I would drink of water.
I would too, please.
Miller Lite be fine.
Yeah, if we got that, I would prefer.
Anything marvelous and interesting happening out there?
No,
That's a good thing.
it's an interesting conglomeration of people.
I haven't even been out there.
Yeah, I got to be part of a stop and kind of frisk and question earlier today. That was interesting.
What for?
This kid was no shirt, backpack, shorts, had a face thing, like winter face thing on. And he'd been in and out of the fairgrounds like 4 times. Well, I got there and Rich goes, jump in. I'm like, oh, we're going to go do something funny or something. No, he takes me with him and we go and we finally found him and he called the other sheriff on his cart over and they questioned him. And one of them is already on probation. He's 15 years old, the other one's 17 and says, what did it say on his stomach? He's got tattooed as fuck something on his, and he's no shirt on walking around, you know. Rich will get to know him later, I'm sure.
What about the old dude that was sitting outside the beef barn with a puppet and a microphone singing
Yes.
into it? That was creepy.
Well, the creepier one at the same time was the guy that was in the bathroom screaming and groaning for about an hour and a half. And they finally said, yeah, you need to leave. I'm constipated. No, you need to leave. You're just screaming. No, we're gonna call the police. So somebody comes to the door and he's got his pants down on his ankle with his hands up in the air and he runs out, I'm not resisting, I'm not resisting.
Well, there's a guy out here coming off onto the bypass begging for money, and he's standing there walking back and forth and back and forth, and it's like, what's this about?
Oh, he's here all the time.
Oh,
Yeah.
he is?
Yeah, he's worn a,
He's oh, okay.
he's worn, at 39 and 67.
He's there all, that's his job.
That's when you come off 69 onto Morton Avenue too.
Well, we've got one at Cloverdale. He's an old man. Now there's a mid-20s couple that take over for him once in a while. And people have stopped and, Mike Bias stopped and said, I'll give you a job. I'll pay you $15 an hour to watch a grain dryer. You sit in a chair. If you hear something change, or every half hour, walk out and check the temperature, check the corn. Nope. I can't live on $15 an hour.
And he could, because he's making more than there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He walks down and around and I have not seen it. They say he's got a Cadillac or a very new car, down at one of the hotels. Oh,
What are you gentlemen doing tomorrow morning at 7:30?
Coming to see you.
Breakfast at the beef.
At the beef bar, yes, it's farmer's breakfast, so you should come to breakfast,
I'm actually
Brian.
gonna stay the night at the fairgrounds tonight.
Oh,
I
wow.
thought, I'm there till at least 11 o'clock anyways. Why even go home if I gotta be there at 7:30 again? Now it's gonna ruin Bryce's fun, but
Good, just making sure you all got the invite.
well, they're supposed to work pork producers in the morning,
Oh,
so him and Garrett will be doing that.
fun times.
'Cause Garrett's
So is it pork or beef?
Beef,
at the
beef.
beef.
beef,
Beef, pork, and onions.
yes.
Call the big three.
Yeah, beef is, making our breakfast tomorrow. And the topic is climate change in Morgan County. And there's a rumor that Representative Baird will be there.
Lieutenant Governor was here today.
Sweet.
The lieutenant. Now, that's,
Suzanne Kraus.
yeah, okay.
Oh, missed that.
Yeah, she was there when I left.
Cool.
It's Hopalong Cassida.
Painting.
Wait, you both have boots.
This means it's a quorum.
We can do this.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't even have to bring the flamethrower.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
If you expect to talk, you will need to sign in.
Okay. Harmony Acres, I hadn't even look up where this was. I didn't know.
Be closer.
I'll
Okay,
share.
that's fine. It's okay. All good. Feel free to space.
When did pigs become afraid of llamas?
I don't know. Which pigs are afraid of llamas? What did I miss?
Ask Bill.
What happened between the pigs and llamas?
Person. You figured that out?
Well, I don't know. I wasn't there.
I'm in charge of the fairgrounds.
Are you playing some baseball? Is that where you're taking?
Yeah.
It's all weekend for a tournament.
This is an old one. It's fine. All good. Thank you.
Verify Kim could whip his ass.
Oh.
It was
Oh.
overcast that Saturday, and so it was kind of like,
Yeah, it's really easy to burn
Yeah.
in that.
got home and took a shower, and I was like,
Yeah, you feel like you aren't getting anything, and then all of a sudden, you've got it all. Here, I'll recycle for you there. Oh, okay.
I obviously wasn't around when that happened, so.
How's fair going? Good. Good? Is it? It opened Friday?
Friday?
I'll let you look at that part.
I've already read it once.
Okay. I'll let you, this is the important part, I'm assuming. Yep,
It's 36 acres.
yep.
Well, yeah, you can see there's, been planted.
Yeah, at one point in time.
it's not fun.
But there's subdivisions all the way around it, isn't there?
Well, looks like there's fields around it, but
Well, but
a smidge bit bigger probably. Here we go.
I think it's just subdivided.
Across the street from it.
Yeah, it's all broke into parcels.
Yeah.
Flake.
Yeah. In there, but, I mean, it's a way to keep your neighbors away from you. Okay.
Oh, and here's a PUD.
Yeah.
16.
Is it in a flood zone? I see a approximate flood.
I would say it's near one, but I don't think it's got one.
Up there, apparently, like in far away.
It is, you know, we're gonna have to
It's not
walk and see that.
No.
Probably.
Well, I mean, it's gonna stay ag, right? So, I mean,
Now,
it'll
where
let,
it-
Yeah. Ooh,
Well, some stranger, I
What?
show up to a meeting, you know.
that time of your life.
are you
here.
kidding?
Do a lot of quail hunting on that piece of ground.
Is there any quail left, though?
He was in that time of his life.
I can never put up.
Yes,
I haven't seen 50 birds in the last 25 years.
I bet I do.
Have a,
Because the forests have changed.
no, it's the,
ain't got time. I'm staying plenty busy, I don't have enough time.
It's that.
and well, the coyotes started
Kids
it, the
this, and it's really.
bobcats
No, there's a
continued.
complete sentence.
We had a turkey.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and I hate to do it. I've always hated to do it, but I ain't got
They find a row,
trying to
and they
take
just
care
go
of
right
my
down it.
2 and 95-year-old in-laws. That's where I was at half the day from 12 o'clock on, that's where I was at till, but out there 10 till 6. Went, got a shower, and I gotta go back there tomorrow. I'm gonna be there all day tomorrow.
But,
Are you trying to take care of their home?
no, they're awful.
I've got 7.5 acres, their home, I've got, yeah, a lot.
Hey, do I count in the quorum? Do I count in the votes?
You're good. I didn't even, I've probably got 50 daggone
But
calls I
there's
gotta
one
get back
fellow
with.
that hunts quail on me, and he says, I don't understand why you've got so many quail. I don't know. Well, the woods they're in can be dense in areas.
Yeah,
And,
so you got a lot of cover.
yeah, and then, so one snowy day, he was out, had his dogs out running, and he did shoot one, and he cut it open, and they had elderberry seeds in it. He says, that area down there is covered in elderberries. He said, that's what's getting them through hard winters.
Yep.
But the winters aren't as hard as they used to be.
Yeah,
Real good.
but if you've got like
It's just,
really good thickets that they can hide in and but also eat in,
Well,
it's good cover.
can you tell the difference between a male and a female?
I don't know.
Well, we have one up by the house, and somebody comes in and visits. I call her her. One day I walk out of the house, walk in front of the garage, almost step on her. She does not move. I'm within, and I've been talking to her and whistling at her and everything. Daisy walks up and I said, no, get away. She looked up at me, she sniffed, and I said, no, get away. She backed up and walked around her. I've been a tasty morsel.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you have a pet quail?
I think so, and,
but she went down.
we've been cutting trees down. She flies in and watches us.
That's kind of funny.
We've got some trees that were down from the storms.
Yeah.
We've been doing everything for everybody else, and finally we got back to my yard.
I understand.
She's doing good, though.
Long-term memories, short-term.
Shattered it.
Wow.
But it's a soft maple. and
Okay. It is.
Okay, are we at 6:30? All right, so we are at the appointed meeting time. I'm Melanie Dupuy, Vice Chair of the Plan Commission. Recognizing the quorum, we will go ahead and start the meeting. First, we'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So the minutes were sent out to all of us in advance. I'm assuming that everyone's had a chance to review the minutes. Anyone have any questions or comments about them? You want a second to thumb through if you just didn't get a chance to do that?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
A member Patrick makes a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
Okay, and Michelle, forget your last name, Jones,
Yes, it is.
seconds the minutes. All in favor of approving the minutes, please recognize by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Okay, same with agenda. Agenda was sent out in advance of the meeting. Does anyone have any questions? Laura, any changes to the agenda as it was presented? Anything? No. With no changes presented to the agenda, we'll ask for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Maxwell makes a motion to approve.
Second.
And, I'm sorry, Dustin. Dustin Fry makes, I always want to call you something else. I don't know why.
A lot of people do.
It's really complimentary. We only have one agenda item for tonight. It's a public hearing for minor plat MIP 23-08. The Grove Development LLC is requesting a 4-lot minor plat for 35 acres generally located in the southeast corner of New Harmony Road and Flake Road in Green Township. The property is currently zoned ag. Do we have someone present who's presenting for the petitioners? If you'd come to the microphone and identify yourself, make sure that we have microphone on there.
Sure. Yep. Hello? You hear me?
We good?
We good? You there? Hello?
Got it?
Okay. My name's Andrew Barcosi with Barcosi Surveying. We're at 4800 West Smith Valley Road, Suite O, Greenwood, Indiana 46143, representing Grove Development. They're wishing to purchase this property, the 35.5 acres, and subdivide it into these 4 larger lots. They're ranging for just under 5 acres at 4.9 up to 15 acres. 2 of the lots, lots 1 and 2, will share an existing gravel drive that's already installed. I believe its permit was pulled last year, I believe. It's a long gravel drive with some trees, so they'll be pulling permits there. And I believe the Grove Development already has 2 houses he's hoping to build on lots 1 and 2. The other 2 lots he's holding on until something comes up. So not asking for any waivers or anything like that. So if you have any questions, be more than happy to answer them.
Okay. We'll come back to the board for questions after we hear some comments. I have a couple of people signed up to speak in support of the petition. Andrew, you were the first one signed up, so we won't, we'll give you a chance to come back and rebut if you need to afterward. Debbie Conter, are you present? Do you want to speak? You're good? Okay, very good. All right. Hearing no comments from them, I'll give that back to you. We do have a couple of people who would like to speak in opposition to the petition. Dennis Stanton, are you here, Dennis? Thank you. So if you'd come to the microphone, just state your name and your address for us, then you can make your comments.
All right. I don't want to carry this out too long, but I got carried away when I was writing it. Dennis Stanton, I live at 7155 New Harmony Road. I am the owner of that property. I've been there since 1978, and we farm there currently, and the surrounding areas. And I started my family farm there, and so that's where we've been at for a long time and was still there. Presently, to look at that property over there, because I'm just adjacent to it, I'm not hardly an eighth of a mile down to it, there's probably many noxious weed laws being violated right now on that property. Hasn't been mowed for 2 years. So I don't know if anyone has done anything about it, but I hesitate to think that, you know, if that's the character that whoever owns this property that they take, that is that how they're going to handle that? I don't appreciate it. The other item I want to talk about is I know this committee and the committees before the commissioners, we've always talked about the best use, the term best use. And it must be a company best use for whom? Not just best use, just best use for whom? Because, you know, best use is from one person, maybe not the best use for another. Matter of fact, it would be completely opposite for one guy as to the other. But I'm here to talk about soil agronomy. In Morgan County, there are many different soil types, from the best to the poorest, and for crop production, and for that matter, for building sites. First, crop production. The area contains a Fincastle, this area we're talking about tonight, a Fincastle type soil. And it's among one of the top 5 soils in Morgan County as far as production and fertility. And for that matter, it's probably one of the top 2 in Greene County, Greene Township. So I would believe probably among the best fertility in the top 2, but there's not many areas left in Greene Township with this type of soil. My son and I call it monkey soil, or monkey dirt. So if you want to ask about that later, I can tell you about that. This soil, as for building site, it's mostly flat, but the soil is considered wet and poorly drained by, and many of you recognize this book right here, unless you actually go online. I mean, I'm old school, so I use this book. So I try to go online. I couldn't navigate at all, hardly with that. But as far as, you know, that type of soil, you know, it states in there that it's, excuse me, it's not much, it's flat and considered poorly drained, and it's slowly permeable. Or in other words, it perks out slow. So, and it's not too much good for septics. Now, I would think when we use the term best use, these types of soils for production, for building sites, there are far more better areas for building sites than this high fertility type ground. So I would think that it would be best used for crop production. As a matter of fact, I think there's more areas for different soil types for building sites other than this type of soil. So with that, I'll just leave that issue. The next issue, it wasn't too many years ago that I stood here in front of the commissioners. I don't think Kenny was, I think Norman Voiles was actually on here. I forget the other 2 commissioners. I think maybe Goss was on
Brian
there.
Goss.
Jeff Quayle?
Yes, Brian
Jeff
Goss.
Quayle, okay. But anyway, I was speaking in a similar matter for some issue. I don't remember what it was. And after I was done, Norman asked me a question. And he asked me, he says, Dennis, how are the roads out your way? And he says, and I told him, I said, he asked me, have you had any trouble moving about with the farm? And I told him, I said, not at that time. And this was about 10 or 15 years ago. I said, not at that time. And, and I had to be careful, but I could move freely with the tractors and implements that I have, and they've gotten much bigger since then. So if I was asked a question today, I would have to give a negative answer. With the I-69 limited access and the additional houses going up, it has become very hazardous to do this. We have large equipment, more obstacles, more mailboxes, telephone poles, trees hanging over, power lines, etc. It's just one thing right after it. It's become a safety issue now. Just on my road alone, on the McLaren's Hill, I don't know whether you know where that is, but it's, you know where it is, Kenny? Okay, if someone needs to know, Kenny will tell you where it is. Going down in that holler, make a sharp road to the right, and go over another hump, and then back down in another little holler, then up the hill. I counted 4 blind spots. 4 blind spots in this area. The road's very narrow. barely wide enough for 2 vehicles to pass in this area. My equipment ranges from 17 feet to about 13 or 14 feet, okay? And I believe the road is only, I think I went out there today and measured it, I think it was right 16 or 17 feet, and right in front of my house, it changes as it goes up and down the road. So it's very dangerous for me and the others. I have already took out 2 mailboxes and some young lady's driver's side mirror on her car and her front quarter panel. I mean, you know, it's just people traveling up and down that road. It's just so difficult. I mean, it could have been worse. It could have been worse. And there's countless close calls, you know, which most of the time you don't count them. You don't count the close calls, but there's been a lot. Matter of fact, I had one yesterday, and there was one the other day too that I didn't. My trailer went into the ditch. There's no shoulders on that road, so you got to go all the way to the right. So the trailer wheel was in the ditch. So with 4 or 5 homes going up in this location, it would be safe to say there would be 3 vehicles per house that goes up in that area. 3 vehicles, which would make it, what, 12 to 15 additional cars running up and down the road in that area. For that matter, for others as well. I would think it would be best to keep those roads safer, not more hazardous with additional traffic. I said the traffic has already quadrupled as to before the limited access with the I-69. So I would think, and the car interval has shortened. In other words, if I need to pull out of my driveway, especially with a semi, that, you know, you're kind of slow, you're 80,000 pounds, you can't get going very fast. They're right up on you. So anyway, with that issue, I would think those things needs to be considered with the additional homes and the additional traffic. The next issue is a full disclosure. Now, I noticed on the packet tonight that it was designated right across the road, and I don't know where the realtors, even the landowners, knew about this at the time of their purchase, but right across the road is designated as PUD. And probably most of you know, I think Kenny was here whenever that was, and I think Bill was too, whenever that was approved for PUD. But anyway, did the potential buyers know at the time when they bought this property? You know, and I would think they would second guess, you know, if they would have known about it, they would have thought different about buying it. And that could be why they're trying to develop it. I don't know. You know, people go for the country-esque look, the rural environment. So I would think that this is something that might be disappearing if something was done with that, the PUD. It says the present owner, and all he has to do is flip a switch, you know, and bang, it's high-density housing. Then with that, it would be not so much country living anymore. Do these nice folks want this? You know, they would want to keep it rural, not urban, like Johnson County. You know how Johnson County's getting. So I don't even want to go over there anymore. Also, the other issue is full disclosure. Now, a lot of people don't know about this, and I don't know about your next speaker, Lisa Flake. But on one of the main houses that was with this property at the time it sold, there was a septic finger that came from the septic system, and it dumped right into the county ditch. And there was only 4 people that knew about it, and 3 of them have died. I'm the last one. There may have been other people that I don't know about, but I knew it. And nobody asked me about it when this came up for sale. So, you know, if you need more details about this, you can see me or ask me about it later. Okay, just to close this, I didn't mean to take so long, but To iterate this, as you probably already know, this type of development in agriculture does not mix. I cannot operate or function with residentials close by because of the noise, traffic, odors, etc. It's just not compatible. If these type of developments continue, I will shut the farm down and sell my land and do exactly the same thing. What these people are going to do. You know, I'll put in high-density houses. I may make some enemies, and I'm sure my present neighbors will not want it. This is why people want to move, you know, here, because of the agriculture. Open spaces, peaceful view, and the lack of the hustle and bustle of housing developments. And you know what those are. Most of you know what I'm talking about. Just because you can do this, what I'm talking about, excuse me, just because you can do this don't necessarily mean you should. I mean, you can check all the boxes and say, yeah, the boxes are checked, it's okay, let's do it. That don't necessarily mean that you should. So, in conclusion, one more note. If this goes through, I feel that I need a right to farm closure clause in it. Now, we've done this same thing on the Egbert Road, over there on Egbert Road many years ago. There was a right to farm closure. I don't know what was all in it, but it was all on the property deeds. And there has to be something in there protecting me from frivolous lawsuits, possibly noise, lights. We work at night, very, very late sometimes. My son, he seems like he works better at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I can't work that late anymore. But moving equipment, you know, odors, invasion of privacy protections, this would be the only way I could operate with this type of development in the interim. So that's all I had to say tonight, but if you got any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Any questions?
Was this property for sale to the public, or was it just sold behind closed doors somewhere?
I think it was in a realtor's hands, yes, it was.
So there were signs out saying it was for sale?
Yeah, I can't remember what the first realtor was. Lisa, do you know? See, I don't remember who the first
That's
realtor
fine.
was.
Did you think about buying it?
Yeah, I put a bid in for it, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was close, but, I mean, I'm buying it for agricultural purposes, not for development. So you know you can't compete with that. So,
Any other questions, board? All right, if not, thank you very much, Mr. Stanton, I'm sorry. We have Lisa Flake, who signed up to speak in opposition.
I'm a little bit shorter. My brother Tim wrote a letter. Would you like me to read that
I think we received
Publicly?
the letter, didn't we?
in opposition?
It was in the package.
So do I need to read it, or?
Need to, I mean, we all had the letter, so, yeah,
So,
not
okay.
not necessary.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm Lisa Flake, live at 4445 Flake Road, Martinsville, Indiana. My parents, the Charles F. Mary H. Flake Keystone Trust, I'm the trustee for that trust, which property lines up to this. Tim being my brother, he owns the house there in the trust as our farm, which this piece of property used to be part of my grandfather and grandmother's farm. They bought it back in 1927. And so just a year ago, when my aunt passed away, this property was put up, and now it's being put up for sale again. Our concern in this is much of what Dennis has said. He's gone into more soil detail for you, but certainly over the last century, on that 300 acres that they had, this particular field was the most productive always. The soil level in it is far better. It's, as Dennis said, some of the best farmland in Greene Township and even in Morgan County. So it's a shame to see such fine land turn into subdevelopments when there's other property that could potentially be used for subdivision development, if that's what people prefer to see happen in the county. But secondly, my concern is, again, with the road structures and the infrastructure to be able to support the continued increase of subdivisions in Green Township in particular. If you've, the more and more traffic, again, has been pushed toward New Harmony Road because of the access limitations to I-69. So there is far more traffic on that road. Even Flake Road, where our property joins the road, again, far more traffic than there used to be, and it's, hills, the trees that come over, not being kept, fence rows being kept down, so that even when at Flake Road, when I pull onto New Harmony, I literally have to pull out into the road in my car to see, to know whether or not there's oncoming traffic from the west coming toward me. That's just not safe, and that's just another small item in comparison. But when, what I would add to what Dennis says is, if you add those 3 cars, well, also add, boats, RVs, trailers, other bigger items, as well as people that are bringing out their 4-wheelers and those type of vehicles that they're, flying around the corners and things in. The continued increase of the developments and bringing more and more vehicles into the community just continues to increase the risk for not only farmers, but drivers on the roads. So I would like for you to very carefully consider, bringing more, bringing a subdivision into the community along with those that are potentially already on the books. And I'll be glad to answer any questions. And yeah, appreciate your consideration of this tonight. Thank you.
Does the board have any questions for Ms. Flake? No, hearing none. Thank you very much. Thank you. We have one more speaker, Carrie Ainsworth. Do you wish to speak, Carrie? What's under that? Oh, that's nobody.
Hello, I'm Kerry Ainsworth. I live at 4471 Flake Road, right next to Lisa. And all this property borders my northern line, all the way down my driveway, all the way to the back of my property. Matter of fact, part of this, on this one, on lot 4, actually is part of my front yard. If you technically look at it, there's a slough on the other side. There's 2 drainage ditches. There's a drainage ditch that runs out of my driveway. There's a drainage ditch that runs on the other side of my north side of my property, all the way down, and it's nothing but swamp and slough and a big ditch all the way in the middle of this property. There's probably about 3.5 acres that join my back 1.5 acres, which used to be farmed by Kent Wentz when he farmed all that property at one time. And then when the Spurlocks bought it, then they quit doing anything with it. They just let it go to heck in a handbasket, as far as I'm concerned. With extra, and I'm gonna reiterate what Dennis said, there's extra traffic, extra thing. I've only been in the county since 2018, but there was several criteria for me to move from Georgia up here. I didn't want neighbors. I kind of like my privacy. I was glad to have just Lisa and them on one side, and I had Miss Slagle on the other side, and I'd help her when I could help her, and I'd actually help take care of the property just a little bit. I'd keep some of it mowed and stuff around on the backside for her and stuff. But I'm worried about drainage, extra neighbors, everything like that. Like Dennis said, it's already hard enough to get his tractors up and down the road, and combines and whatever else he has to pull, tractor trailer rigs, the whole thing. I just don't understand, you know, when the 4 different plots that they put out there don't make a bit of sense. One coming off of Flake Road, which that one, most of it's gonna be slough. There's only a little part on one part that can be built on. There's no access to the other part that's in front of my front yard. I mean, you gotta come down my driveway to get to it. You can't get to it any other way. And I'm not gonna let it go. They're gonna have to build a boat or something. So, also, it's pressing the livestock, the wildlife. If you start building more houses, where the deer, everything else, they're gonna go. They're getting pressed out of there already. So, you know, they're running out of woods, they're running out of, you know, places to live. You wanna build 4 more houses and more people, and like Lisa said, more stuff up and down the road. I didn't wanna live in a Center Grove area. That's why I moved to Morgan County. It was rural, it was out in the country, and, you know, if I wanted to live up in the city, go up in the city, you know. That's pretty much all I got to say.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank you,
you.
Mr. Ainsworth. Any
Yes, ma'am.
questions? Okay, thank you very much.
I did offer to try to buy that little piece of land from the Spurlocks, and they just shot me down right off, you know. Me and him never did get along. So he didn't, I don't know if he just didn't like me or what. I could never, he was too young or something. I have no problem. But that little piece in front of me and the back that joins the 2 properties, it's at the one that they want to do 15 acres, it comes around and joins my back property. I would have liked to have bought all that at one time, but never had a really opportunity, so.
Okay, thank you very much for your
Yes, ma'am.
comments. Mr. Barkowski, would you like to do a rebuttal?
How you doing? Andrew Barkosi again. You know, I completely understand their seeing of, you know, farmland turn into 4 residential lots, but they are larger lots. They're similar to residential lots in the area. There are a lot of rural lots in that area, just to the west there. It fits in with the area. The drainage, it actually, with the sloughs, helps with the drainage. I believe the health department has signed off on no rebuttal against this minor plat. Soil borings will be done prior to any homes building. And we're just following through, you know, we meet all agricultural zoning ordinances. So we're just, the developer had 2 owners that wanted to buy some lots. It's the Grove Development, it's Duke Homes. It's Mike Duke, and he had 2 owners looking for 2 larger lots, and he came across this piece of land and decided it was a good investment to give them the 2 of the lots and keep the other 2 until something comes along. So that's kind of where we're at with this. I think it does kind of fit in with the area. It is, like I stated before, there are homes all up and down New Harmony, similar lot sizes. Most of the homes will be up towards New Harmony due to the slough. They won't be all near the south end. The 2 lots that are near the south end are larger. Probably what they'll do is, you know, build either on the north side of lot 4 and just continue to leave that all natural down there is typically what we see when that happens. And same with lot 2 with the larger lot. Those sloughs will just be, you know, the home will be up towards New Harmony and just everything be left alone. Maybe a couple barns towards the back, but it's kind of what the idea is.
Okay, is that all?
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
So with that, I would close the public hearing on petition minor plot MIP 23-08. And I would open the floor for any deliberation among Plan Commission members or any questions or comments that you have before we ask for a motion? Hearing none, then I would call for a motion on minor plat MIP 23-08.
Could I ask Laura one question?
Yes, absolutely.
Laura, I know back whenever I was planning director, we had the right to farm document in the building permit application. We still have that in there, I'm assuming.
It's state law.
Okay. 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 I just had to ask, thank you.
Okay, I'll pose the question again. Does anyone have a motion regarding this minor plat?
May I ask a question? I guess, Mr. Peden, do we need to make a motion that it goes to the commissioners with no recommendation, or do we just not do anything and let it take its course?
This is a minor plat, total your purview, it does not go to the commissioners. Only if it were being rezoned would they get their say. So this is entirely in your ball.
Thank you.
So if we do not have a motion, Laura, we just have no action on this item? Is that correct? All right. Okay, going one more time. Does anybody want to make a motion for or against approval of this minor plat? Okay, hearing none, then we will continue this to the August meeting. Is there additional information that will need to be provided prior to then, or will Mr. Barkowski need to come back and? Okay, very good, very good, okay. Okay, with that, we have no other items on the agenda. Do we have an attorney's report? No? No, nothing from you tonight, Mark? Okay, Laura, do you have a plan director report? No, no plan director report. So with that, I would entertain a motion. I'd remind everybody that we have a meeting on August 14th, 2023, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mr. Hale? That. All in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Thank you for everyone who came out. I was going to have houses going next to me, and they said Mike Dick was going to build them. I feel pretty good about it.
Oh, yeah, Mike does an awesome job. He does an awesome job. Yes, he does. Do what now? No, no. And you're lost to the daggone west is a lot farther.
Like a decision we made one time, said UCA, and he sued me. Well, he did it with a family trust.
It was in a family trust, so this portion's already been sold off. So clearly somebody in the family knew at that point that when they were selling it off, it would most likely